Celtic chasing a 6'7" French giant. A £7 million wonderkid on the radar. Atalanta circling for a midfield star. Giakoumakis wants back seriously. And with Jota out, 3 wingers lined up. One could be the next big gamble. If you want the biggest stories, the boldest drama, and all the madness from Scottish football delivered straight to you, make sure to subscribe right now. So Brendan Rodgers is sharpening his tools early this summer, with eyes already locked on the Champions League third-round qualifier. While everyone expected him to go all in on a new striker after the January window went by without a proper replacement for Kyogo Furuhashi, the man's throwing a bit of a curveball. Instead of going for firepower, it seems the Parkhead radars tune in on a 6'7" mountain of a midfielder from Gingham, Kalidou Sidib. Now, the rumor mill says Celtic are preparing a bid of £1.7 million for the towering French Malin midfielder. Sidib, who's got just a year left on his contract, has apparently caught the interest of Rodgers, not for his goal tally, which, let us be honest, 12 goals in 188 games is hardly earth-shattering, but for his versatility, the lad has lined up as a holding midfielder, a center-back, and even, bizarrely, as a striker. A real Swiss Army knife of a player. Gingham boss Sylvain Ripple has spoken out, saying he is not fooled and that the club will listen to offers so long as their interests are preserved. Basically, they are open for business. And who can blame them? Sidib is 26, has no international caps to his name, and by the looks of it, is keen to make a move. Now, let us be real. Celtic are supposed to be building a squad ready for European football, ready to compete at the highest level. Is signing a player from the French second division with no top tier or international pedigree really the move that screams ambition? Is Brendan Rodgers being clever with a budget buy who might surprise us all? Or is this just another low-risk punt that shows the club are thinking small when they should be going bold? Let me know what you think in the comments. And be honest, would Sidib even make the bench in a full-strength Celtic squad? The Lennon Miller situation. The lad is only 18, but already causing a full-blown European stir. Strasbourg have reportedly thrown their hat into the ring, and French outlets are saying it will take around £7.6 million to get Motherwell to even pick up the phone. That is a lot of cash for a teenager who, despite his promise, is still very much raw material. But here is the kicker. He is already on Steve Clarke's radar for the Scotland senior squad, which is no small feat. Celtic have been sniffing around for a while, but now they are not alone. The queue is forming, and it is stretching from Fir Park to the continent. The question is whether the Parkhead board are ready to stump up Premier League level money for a homegrown prospect, or if they will watch yet another young talent slip away to mainland Europe. Now, speaking of big money, here comes Atalanta stirring the pot again. Remember the Matt O'Reilly saga? That transfer saga had more episodes in a crime drama, and now the Italians are reportedly circling Arne Engels. The Belgian midfielder arrived at Celtic last summer for around £11 million, and while he did not exactly light the league on fire, the flashes of brilliance were enough to make you think he is just getting started. But money talks, and if Atalanta come in waving a fat check, it might test the club's resolve. Then we shift our focus to Michel-Ange Balikwisha. Celtic's interest in him has been more on-again, off-again than a soap opera relationship. But now, with the Belgian winger hitting top form in Antwerp's playoff run, 3 goals and 3 assists, and entering the final year of his contract, the stars could finally be aligning. With both club seasons ending this weekend, this one might just explode into life next week. So is Celtic possibly eyeing Lennon Miller, juggling serious interest in Engels, and still flirting with Balikwisha? It raises a brilliant question for all of you watching. Should Celtic go all in on Scottish talent like Miller and invest in the future of the national game? Or is it smarter to chase more polished European options who can deliver in the Champions League straight away? Drop your thoughts below. Is the romance of developing local stars worth the risk, or is it time to think continental and ruthless? Well, talk about lighting a match near the petrol tank. Greek striker Giorgos Giakoumakis has decided to stir the pot just a little, saying he would love a return to Parkhead before hanging up his boots. Currently banging in goals for Cruz Azul in Mexico after a decent spell in the MLS with Atlanta United. The 30-year-old has made it very clear in an interview with the Daily Record that Celtic still has a piece of his heart. His exact words: "If a former Celtic player says he would not go back, he is, quote, a stupid guy." Bit harsh, but at least he is honest. Now, let us not pretend he is the second coming of Henrik Larsson, despite what Alex McLeish might have suggested back in the day. Larsson scored over 200 goals for Celtic, and Giakoumakis, well, did not. But let us give credit where it is due. In his first season in the Premiership, the big man scored 13 goals from just 11 starts, netting once every 81 minutes. That is not just decent, that is absolutely clinical. The problem was not his finishing. It was the fact that he hardly ever got a proper run of starts, especially in his second season. So he packed his bags, went to America, scored 22 in 38 games, and now he is thriving in Mexico after a £7.8 million move. There is no confirmed interest from Celtic at the moment. This is not a negotiations underway type of situation, but the idea of bringing him back has started some very loud whispers. And considering the club never really replaced Kyoko Furuhashi after his January exit, Giakoumakis could offer an instant injection of goals and familiarity. He knows the league, he knows the club, and he certainly knows where the back of the net is. Would bringing Giakoumakis back be a masterstroke that solves Celtic's striker problem in one move? Or would it be a lazy bit of nostalgia that shows the club are short on fresh ideas? Celtic are heading into next season without Jota, the man who basically turned fullbacks into training cones for the past few campaigns. After that horror knee injury during the title-clinching rout of Dundee United, it is 9 months minimum on the sidelines for the Portuguese wizard. And let us be honest, it could easily stretch well into 2026 before we see him properly back at it. That is a massive blow, not just in terms of talent, but chemistry, flair, and big game swagger. So naturally, the recruitment radar is scanning the horizon for a new winger. And 3 names have popped up, each with their own charm, flaws, and risk factor. First, we have Therese Dolan from Blackburn Rovers. Contract running out, 23 years old, can play across the front line, and might walk into Glasgow for free. Sounds like a dream, right? But there is a catch. 7 goals and 6 assists in 44 matches for a championship side that did not exactly dazzle. He is versatile and works hard, yes, but whether he is the kind of flair merchant that can thrive under the Champions League lights is still up in the air. Next up, Quain Poku from Peterborough United. The man's been cooking in League One, dropping 12 goals and 8 assists in just 27 matches. He is a live wire, a left-footed spark plug who loves cutting in from the right. But he is not a natural replacement for Jota, who owned the left flank like it was his backyard. Poku's got numbers, no doubt, but is it enough of a step up? And finally, the pricey wildcard Sandro Orjasiter from Sarpsborg. The lad is only 21, being called an artist back home, and the numbers are strong. 19 big chances created, 7 assists, and a tasty 2.7 dribbles completed per game. Sounds promising. But the Norwegian league is not exactly a cauldron, and we have seen plenty of Scandinavian stars fizzle when things get a bit physical. Now here is where it gets spicy. Brendan Rodgers needs a winger who can step in and actually replace Jota, not just fill a shirt. He cannot afford to gamble and miss again. Remember, the board has cash to spend. So, do you splash out £7 million on Orjasiter and hope he becomes the next cult hero, or play it safe with Dolan or Poku and risk mediocrity? Should Celtic go bold and spend big on unproven potential like Orjasiter, or play it safe with free agents who might not bring the same magic but come with less risk? Let me know what you think in the comments. Who would you trust to wear Jota's shirt next season?